Welcome back to Giants Mania. Today we'll be talking about the Giants offseason as a whole. We've talked about free agency and the draft individually. Kind of want to make a video just putting it all together and giving it a grade. You guys can see the grade right now. It's a good one, an A-. So pretty satisfied with the offseason, I would say. So I wrote down some of the key subtractions they've had and some of the additions they made via free agency and the draft. Of course, they added some guys late like Kelvin Benjamin and Ryquell Armstead today, Corey Clement. So they've added some guys lately, but it seems like for the big moves, everything's pretty much in the books. So let's go over it. So the key subtractions, of course, Wayne Gallman goes to San Francisco. Kevin Zeitler's the big one. Like the Giants already have a lot of offensive line question marks, I'll put it that way. A lot of young guys that hopefully improve, but there are a lot of question marks. And Kevin Zeitler, despite being in his early 30s, was probably the best offensive lineman the Giants had. So that's a bit of a risky one, of course, but I think it made sense. I wanted to let him go because it saved a lot of money as compared to keeping him for a $14 million cap hit. So I was fine with that. Cam Fleming, I liked him as a serviceable swing tackle. Dalvin Tomlinson, of course, when it comes to stopping the run. But they did sign Danny Shelton, who I actually forgot to put on this list, and I feel like Shelton's going to have a big year, so I'm fine with that replacement. He's probably not going to be Dalvin Tomlinson, but still, I'm fine with Danny Shelton being there at nose tackle. Kyler Fackrell played well the first half of the year, kind of fell off towards the end, got injured too. Dion Lewis, I can do without him, I'll put it that way. Colt McCoy, same thing. David Mayo for sure, and Golden Tate, yeah, I can do without those guys. So let's go over the guys the Giants added. As we know, Kenny Golladay is the big one, the guy they signed for the most money, and the Giants' main, I feel like, goal should have, this offseason should have been give Daniel Jones what he needs to succeed, and based on the weapons they gave him, they've done that. Now, for the offensive line, that's more of a wait and see. The Giants didn't sign any big-name guys. They didn't draft any guys, obviously, so the offensive line's a wait and see, but in terms of getting guys that can make stuff happen after the catch, guys that can win contested catches, help in the red zone, the Giants gave Daniel Jones Kenny Golladay, Kyle Rudolph, they gave him Kadarius Toney, of course, so John Ross, even Devontae Booker if you want to include him. So, they gave him weapons to make this thing work. Now, will the offensive line hold up? That's probably the biggest question mark for the Giants this year. The two biggest questions for the Giants this year, maybe three, I've said this before, of course, is Daniel Jones, can he develop into a good quarterback? We'll find out. Of course, the offensive line, will the young guys get better? Will it stay stagnant? Will it get worse possibly? I hope it gets better, of course. And then Jason Garrett, who I feel like Jason Garrett's on a very short leash anyway, so if he's bad, it's not the biggest concern in the world. The Giants have Freddie Kitchens waiting and some other guys behind him, so I feel like Jason Garrett won't be the biggest issue for this team, but coming into the year, definitely a big question mark there. But they also added guys like Adoree Jackson, had a great couple years in Tennessee, battled injuries, of course, but when he's healthy and he's playing at a high level, that's pretty much it, especially for a cornerback, too. I've been saying that. Getting him as a cornerback, too, is amazing. I will take that any day. And will he play all 17 games? Hopefully, but you really can't bank on that based on what we've seen in the past 2 years, especially last year. I think he played in 2 games, 3 games, whatever it was. It was not good. But Afadi Adenabo, another diamond in the rough type guy, potentially. The Giants view him as an outside linebacker, apparently. He could probably play defensive line, too. So we'll see how he does, but I feel like as a pass rusher, he definitely has some upside. Still pretty young, so I'm excited about him. Ryan Anderson, I don't have the highest expectations for. I went over him before. I just didn't really see much in his highlights, so I'm like, well, not his highlights. I went back and watched him, of course, but when I was making the highlight video, didn't see much from Ryan Anderson, so I don't think he'll do much for this team, but maybe he will. Mike Glennon's a good backup to have. Mike Glennon's good enough to kind of hold down the fort for a couple weeks if you need that to happen, but he's also not good enough to be an actual threat for Daniel Jones. We all know Daniel Jones is a starter of this team, but Mike Glennon, if he has to play, I feel like can be competent and good enough if he has to fill in. Now, Zach Fulton, this is one where people look at the sack numbers given up and they're like, oh, that guy sucks. But Zach Fulton's he's average. He's not going to be that great, but he also, I feel like, won't be terrible. Maybe he will. I'll eat my words on that one. But I feel like Zach Fulton kind of was put in a bad spot because Deshaun Watson holds on to the ball so damn long, and because of that, he probably had some sacks giving up that he shouldn't have given up. So I feel like Daniel Jones does hold on to the ball sometimes a bit long, but Deshaun Watson's different. Deshaun Watson will maneuver the pocket and make guys miss. Daniel Jones will just flat out just hold on to the ball too long. But Deshaun Watson sometimes will put his offensive lineman in a bad spot, kind of like Russell Wilson does. And Russell Wilson complains about getting sacked too much. Well, sometimes he's his own worst enemy with that stuff. So Zach Fulton, when I went back and made his highlight tape, of course, when you watch offensive linemen, you actually have to watch the game and see what they're doing. And I feel like Zach Fulton, he had some bad reps, but like for the most part, he was pretty solid. So if he starts at right guard, I'm not going to feel great about it, but I also wouldn't feel like the Giants have the worst right guard in the league. I feel like they would be in a below average situation there, but it also wouldn't kill the offensive line completely. So, we'll find out if he plays. It could be, of course, Shane Lemieux, so we'll find out about that. Reggie Ragland, definitely an upgrade over a guy like David Mayo. I like that signing, a very sure tackler. He's a bit athletic, could be a bit faster, of course, and his coverage skills probably not going to be that great, but still, he can definitely help this team. John Ross, I talked about a little. A lot of upside, a former 9th overall pick, I believe, and a guy that can stretch the field. I think the Giants will look to attack more vertically with their offense this year. That's when the Giants' offense was at its best in 2020, so hopefully they do more of that. Devontae Booker as a guy to just back up Saquon Barkley. We'll see. I don't really have the highest expectations for a guy like Booker. The Giants signed Corey Clement, of course, and now Raquel Armstead. So I feel like Booker, based on his contract, is safe. He's going to make the team probably, but we'll see who gets the running back 3 spot, even 4 if they keep 4 guys, between Gary Brightwell, Clement, and Armstead now. So we'll find out about that. But Devontae Booker, he's decent. I see people say he's good. I wouldn't put it that way, but he's a good pass blocker, which is important to me. He's a pretty tough runner, pretty good receiver for the most part. Like, he has had some drops, but still, he's not bad. So Devontae Booker is just fine to have as a backup running back. And then you look at the draft, I might have forgot some free agents too, so put in the comments if I forgot anybody, but I think for the most part I got them. But Kadarius Toney, we'll find out what he does. Of course, he's very exciting. He can make guys miss, and he'll make a quarterback's life easier. Daniel Jones might have to just dump the ball off to him, and he'll make guys miss and get yards after the catch, kind of like what we expected Golden Tate to be. He might be like what Golden Tate was in his prime, which would be a lot better, So if we got Golden Tate at 25 years old, he would have been a good Giant. But the problem was we got him when he was like 31. So if Kadarius Toney can be that type of player, that'll definitely help the Giants' offense a lot. I've said before, I think he will be the opening slot receiver for this team. We'll find out how the Giants use him, but that's just my guess. Azeez Ojulari, I'm pretty excited about him. I feel like he'll be fine. He might even start right away, so we'll find out about him, but definitely has a lot of pass rushing upside, as we know. Aaron Robinson might start the year on the bench if, Bradbury and Adoree and Darnay Holmes come in healthy. But if one of those guys gets hurt, I could definitely see Aaron Robinson starting the year. But I think Aaron Robinson, regardless, will play a decent amount this year. He'll be the next guy in line if somebody at the cornerback spot gets hurt, whether it is the slot or outside. Ellerson Smith probably won't make much of an impact this year, but we'll find out down the road what he can do for this team. I did his film review last time. I made a video, and definitely has a ton of upside, so that's exciting. And Gary Brightwell, Rodarius Williams, if you can get anything out of your 6th-round pick, then that's probably a good pick. I feel like Brightwell is decent. He definitely tested very poorly athletically with his pro day numbers, but, we'll find out. Rodarius Williams, I talked about, kind of just dropped because of his age. He'll be 25 by the time the year starts next year, so I feel like that scares off a lot of GMs because of his age. But ultimately, the Giants probably came into this offseason with the main goal of improve our weapons and improve our receiving core. They definitely did that. So that right there should get them a high grade. And their offensive line was also in question, which is why this can't be like an A+ for me. And, people are going to ask me, why not give it an A+? I'll say it right now. They didn't address the offensive line all that much. You're kind of just, outside of Zach Fulton, basically, and some undrafted free agents. But you're basically banking on guys like Andrew Thomas and Matt Peart and Will Hernandez and Shane Lemieux to get a lot better. Now, I think Andrew Thomas is going to have a really good year next year. I'm not really concerned about him. But everybody else, it's a question mark. I have a lot of confidence in Thomas, but as for Peart, as for Hernandez, Lemieux, I think Hernandez is okay, by the way. I don't think he's bad, but, especially Lemieux, I have my questions about him. I feel like Matt Peart will be fine. He's definitely been working hard this offseason, so I feel like he'll be okay. Am I 100% confident he'll be great? No, but I feel pretty good about Matt Peart. But the Giants are putting a lot of trust in that offensive line, and they really did not address it too much this offseason, so that definitely was one of their big needs, and they did not address it much. But In terms of their weapons, of course, they improved that greatly. Even their secondary, getting Aaron Robinson, that helps a lot in my opinion. Adoree Jackson, and I'm a big believer in 2021's NFL of building through your secondary on defense, and the Giants are doing that. That's kind of like the modern way of thinking. It's definitely a very analytically driven way of thinking, a positional value way of thinking. I love that stuff, so I give the Giants a lot of credit there for building through their secondary. Now, another position they needed to address was outside linebacker. They did help it. I will put it that way. They've helped it. They got Ojulari. They got Afadi Adenabo. So they got Ryan Anderson. Like, they got some guys in there, even Ellerson Smith, who, as I said, probably won't make much of an impact this year, but in the future, hopefully. But they did get some guys there, so like it's not like they completely neglected the whole position. But they didn't get like a big name guy, not a big name free agent. So, you know, there are some question marks, of course, about the Giants' outside linebacker group and pass rush in general. Outside of Leonard Williams, the Giants don't really have an established pass rusher. At least I don't think so. So outside of Leonard Williams, who up to last year was basically a 4, 5, 6 sack guy, he had 0.5 the year prior. Wasn't really a big sack guy. So, like, you're kind of banking on him replicating those numbers and having young guys like Ojulari and some unproven guys like Afadi Adenabo come in and be your pass rushers. And it could happen. They're getting Lorenzo Carter back. They're getting O'Shane Ximines back. And you guys know I like Ximines. Carter's coming off a tough injury, so I don't know. My expectations aren't very high, but hopefully he finds a way to contribute. But, yeah, the Giants definitely have a lot of question marks at outside linebacker. So, they addressed it, but not like they did with their receiving core. I'll put it that way. But for me, it's an A-. I think that's a very solid grade. I would have been fine with that in school, believe me, but A- is really good in my opinion. But as I said, there's a lot of guaranteed money. We saw what happened with the Giants back in 2016 with the Jackrabbit and Damon Snacks Harris and Olivier Vernon. Sometimes when you give out a bunch of big guaranteed contracts, it backfires. And a guy like Kenny Golladay missed a lot of games. Adoree Jackson missed a lot of games. Kyle Rudolph's already hurt. So, they have guys. Even Kadarius Toney missed some time as well. I mean, now I'm going to the draft a bit. But even he had his problems in college with the shoulder injury, a shin injury. So, he's had some injuries before. So, the Giants are kind of playing this dangerous game of, high risk, high reward. But if the Giants get a reward out of this, and especially if Daniel Jones and the offensive line greatly improves, this team can be a playoff team. I'm not going to say Super Bowl yet. I have to wait and see for that one, but definitely a playoff team. They play in a pretty underwhelming division. They've definitely improved the most. I feel like Washington has a good roster as well, but the Giants have definitely improved the most in recent years. So why not us? I feel like the Giants can go out there, and as I said last video, the schedule video, why not get 9 wins? At least 9 and 8, minimum. At least get 9 wins. I'm hoping for 11, 12, 13. As I said, as a fan, you want to go 20-0, 17-0, win out in the playoffs and go undefeated. That's my expectation. That's what I hope for. But, ultimately, being realistic, I think 9 wins minimum is fair to say. And their schedule could have been a lot worse. I said that as well. So, yeah, that'll do it for this video. Leave in the comments what you would grade this offseason. Hopefully no one gets mad at an A-. I don't know why people will get mad at that, but we'll find out. But hopefully you guys enjoy. And what's next for this channel? I feel like Gary Brightwell's video has to come out soon, the film review. There's someone that posted videos about every rushing attempt he had in some games, so I'll have that one out soon. Who else? Rodarius Williams, of course, at some points. And I had a few others I want to get to. It's in my notes section, but I'll get to it soon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time.